Hello, and welcome back to our podcast, The Growth Playbook, with myself, Kim Clark. I am a strategic coach, and my dad, Alan Bolio, semi-retired, but still sitting on boards and educating a whole sorts of different groups and working with the university and joining me on this podcast. So keeping busy during quote unquote retirement. Today's episode is going to be playing off last week's where we did leading with applied optimism. And so this week we're going to be focusing on leading with inspiration, which are in fact two different things, one requiring the other. But just another avenue for us to go down to help business leaders intentionally grow their business, in this case through strong leadership, retaining employees, growing really solid teams, and just reaching new heights in their business. So, Dad, looking forward to today's episode.
Oh, thanks. And I am too. I think the inspiration part is sort of like the step beyond optimism. I mean, you can be an optimistic leader and be a really good leader without being inspirational. It takes that extra couple steps. And, Kim, if you don't mind, hopefully you don't, let's start with the inspiration team that Emily is on. I think that's a great example of what inspiration is, what we're talking about here. I think that's a very good definition for inspiration for today. And for those of you that don't know, Emily is my granddaughter, and she has CP. And because of Kim, she was able to join a cheerleading team for people with similar issues, health issues. And there's a couple lessons in there that I think are worth bringing out first. If not, we can edit it out and put it at the end. But
Happy to. I am more like mom in this sense, in that I am a more emotional creature. So I'll try not to like tear up as I talk about the awesomeness of Emily and the inspiration team here in Ware, New Hampshire. It is a cheerleading team, as you said, that goes to competitions all across the state. My daughter, in her elementary and middle school and junior high years, did cheerleading. And so this is how we knew of this team. And so I had the joy of watching my niece cheer and just bring joy into the room during these competitions when they would take the mat and push past these physical boundaries that people have set on them because of their disabilities. And as a response to that, it was just amazing to see them get a standing ovation every weekend, every single time they would do this, because every person in the audience felt that inspiration of watching this team of cheerleaders push back a boundary that had been told was their limitation.
truly inspiring. And the the layer that goes along with that, in my opinion, and feel free to disagree, is that it is not possible. Two things that need to be present. One, Emily and her peers need to have that drive within them to want to take that opportunity and just smile all day long at the thought of it. So it's not everybody's going to have that within them. But it's also not possible if the coaches weren't there, if Chloe and her friends weren't there. We went to the first practice, and Mom and I were just blown away by the Chloe and her peers. It's like these are angels in disguise. These are they were just helping those kids, and the thought there being, you can be an inspiration like Emily, and you can be inspiring like Chloe, helping somebody to reach their potential. I mean, all that's wrapped up in there. And at work, you can find the Emilys who overcome disabilities. They learn a new skill that they didn't think they could learn, or they learn how to have a client call in a way that they've never had before. And I mean, they're just an inspiration to people around them. But it happened because somebody invested in them, because there was a plan and a purpose. It was not accidental. And without the Chloes, it doesn't happen. Without the Emilys, you don't get the standing ovations and everybody feeling like, I can do this too. I can do things too. And it does bring tears to your eyes, and it's just a wonderful thing to see both of that happen. For anybody that thinks all teenage girls are, probably self-centered jerks, um, you should see them working with these kids. It was just one of the most amazing things that we've seen, and it really was inspirational to see them. And it makes you think, you know what? The world's not all bad. There's a lot of good in this world, and that's our job, right? As leaders, and whatever level. You don't have to be the CEO. You can be a project manager. You can be mid-level, senior leadership, whatever it is to bring people to their, I can do this, and I want to do this, and there are no boundaries here. I can become whatever it is this organization has to provide. And a good leader says, if you can't reach it all here, I'll be happy for you when you go there,
Yeah.
because that's what good leadership does. So I think the team epitomizes that and shows that there's the success story, but then there's the people that make the success story possible. So let's talk about the people who make the success story possible first, okay? The Chloes of the world. And we keep saying Chloe, but I don't know if you've mentioned that's your daughter.
I
Uh,
have not. I don't think so yet. Now, my 14-year-old daughter.
yes, and you call her your 14-year-old daughter. I call her my first grandchild. So, and what a joy she is. Okay, so let's use our example then as what a inspirational leader does, and we'll not beat this to death, but an inspirational leader does something. It doesn't happen without the inspirational leader doing something. Without the coach, I can't remember her name, so please forgive me.
There's a lot of them.
No,
So
that's true.
all the coaches.
All the coaches, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of them. Without them doing something, nothing happens. So we have to decide we want to be that person that helps make something happen.
Mhm.
It's a purpose, it's a commitment, it's a life decision. It's all of that because you have the other person's interest at heart, which is different than just optimism. You have to deeply care because it'll take something out of you, time, effort, and energy to make this happen. And I think it begins there with caring to make their life better. Um, I'm going to start with some things that it is not. Inspirational leadership is not sitting on the sidelines and
Mm.
just saying, boy, yeah, that that doesn't work. Inspirational leadership is not, and this is not in line with the cheerleading, but is not someone who just sits on the news that they hear. If you're a senior leader or the CEO or something, and you hear something in the wind and something's coming down the pike and you don't say anything about it, that's not inspirational leadership. You may think, well, I don't know enough, I don't want to unsettle them and all the rest of that, but trust me, they're going to hear rumors, and the rumors are going to be worse than the truth, because they almost always are. And I almost said always are, but you shouldn't always say always. So it's just you cannot sit on something for fear that you're going to unsettle something. You just have to be open and honest. Per our previous discussion, say, you know what? I don't have all the answers. I don't even have all the questions, but this is happening. And at that point, you begin to develop a trust relationship, and you can get into the next things, uh, next steps. And I think the things to also do is, as an inspirational leader, is to make sure you don't avoid specifics about what happened.
Mhm.
Uh, if you leave things vague, it's the same thing. Uh, and let's make it something about layoffs, okay? I'm the CEO. I'm talking to 40,000 employees through various levels of leadership or through a broadcast or whatever it happens to be. And I go, we're going to have to lay off 10% of the workforce because business is off. Isn't that a crappy message? Doesn't that just make it sound arbitrary? And yeah, he's just cutting costs because his bonus is going to be hurt. The stock of the price stock is going to take a beating. You got to be specific. We have to do this because sales are down 14%, primarily in this department, primarily in this country, whatever it happens to be. But there's cash implications that we have to face because of our obligations in and outside the company. I mean, you gotta be specific as to why, as opposed to business is off. That just sounds like you're throwing BS at me. This is about your bonus, isn't it? And we really need more than just that vague information. It's for the good of the company. Well, it ain't so good for the people being laid off, so let's not go there.
I think part of that, if I may quickly just add to that, is acknowledge as part of that communication, acknowledging the emotional impact that the receiver is having. Where you say, we have to do this, transparently telling you all the whys and the ifs and this and that. But furthermore, I understand this is not where we want to be. And it's really crappy for me to be having this conversation right now, rather than trying to sweep it under the rug like, oh, I did it, ripped off the band-aid, and now I've moved on. And you're left just in my wake to sit there and feel everything that I just dealt out.
Yeah, I agree. I wish we didn't have to go through this. We is always nice and through there, or I wish that I didn't have to talk to you about this. But keep it short. And you did. You kept it nice and short. Because as soon as you start getting into, it's been a really long and painful decision for me, lots of sleepless nights, and I've had lots of conversations. Who's the focus of that conversation?
You.
Yeah, and the person getting laid off is going to go something before you. It's going to be, it's not you, it's me.
Like, I don't really care what you went through.
Yeah,
What are you
that's
putting
right.
me through?
That's right. Yeah, it's just, but people will do that. I mean, we've heard them do that. It's just, you try to justify it, I suppose, and show you're empathetic by being unsympathetic and unempathetic and making it self-serving. And
Yes.
it's probably a pretty easy trap. And the last thing you shouldn't do if you're going to be inspirational is, and I think people try to be inspirational when they do this, is that we have to have a reorg. You and I have had clients who reorg like annually. It's like, who's our contact this year? And it's just, or they cycle back as clients every other year because reorg has come about and somebody who knew us is back at the top. Then they're not at the top. So we just
Yeah.
reorgs. And CEOs, often come in new and they feel it's their job to reorg, and they say that we're going to reorg, and this reorg is ultimately going to help the brand, it's going to help us grow, and they tell these great big stories about what it means without stopping to think that everybody in that company knows a reorg is painful for a lot
Mm.
of people. All of a sudden I could have to go into the office every day. All of a sudden I could be forced to work in New Jersey. All of a sudden, sorry, New Jersey, but all of a sudden I'm demoted. I don't have a job. I mean, the department's closing. What does this reorg mean? But he's making it sound like it's all a good thing when you've just instilled fear.
Yeah, and the reorg doesn't even have to be something so severe as layoffs or going into the office. It could just simply be even the challenges of learning new systems, learning new processes, working with new coworkers. We spend our days working more than we spend our days not working, and we get into a routine. And most people that I know are creatures of habit, and we form different ways of doing things to be efficient and effective. And all of that's getting a pull the pin, toss the grenade, and it all gets changed up. But it's good for the brand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly so. And so those are the things not to do. I mean, you can't sit on the news, you can't fuel the rumors, you can't be vague, you can't pretend it's all about you, and you can't sell it as this will be good in the end. That's just not the way that an inspirational leader works. And um, and even going, what does work, it takes time and commitment and caring. And so let's stress those points as we go forward, and kind of flesh them out some more, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Uh, I think an inspirational leader, to me, one of the first things is is calm in all stressful situations. Somebody who hits the panic button, not so much. Somebody who is going to go on a rampage. This is happening because those people in sales aren't doing their job, and this one's is this type of person. I won't use those words. And this person is, you know, a cancer, and this one is, you know, and it's just blaming everybody. That's not inspirational at all. Uh, doesn't even come close. As a matter of fact, it shows that you're not much of a leader, in my opinion. It's a calmness in a stressful situation, which is inspirational because that shows calmness to everybody else. And one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite actors of all time, but one of his favorite movies is Tom Hanks. I think he's been so versatile over the years. I just saw him again in Money Pit, and I realized, oh my gosh, he was a kid. And the
Yeah.
day before, I watched Greyhound, The Greyhound, which is a World War II movie. For those who haven't seen it, it is the epitome of inspirational leadership. It is how to behave in stressful situations so that you can have a victorious outcome. Uh, he is focused, he is calm, he doesn't make grandiose speeches. He certainly doesn't make it about himself. He still listens to people. I mean, he's to me a great example there of what inspiration is. The world's falling apart. Um, got that. Here's the plan, and that's what people want to know, right? Here's the plan. And in his case, it was this is how not only are we going to survive, we're going to save thousands of lives as we cross the Atlantic. And very, very good example, in my opinion. And I think sometimes you have to realize to be inspirational, point number two would be that empathy, which we have discussed before. Let's dig it down a little deeper. You show an interest in the person and their teams. You do this. Uh, I wasn't as good because I didn't have as many contacts, and remotely because of where I was, it was hard for me to know 80 people in the company at the time, you know. So I didn't know their names, let alone. But when I met them at our retreats, I would try to have conversations. When I just met new board members yesterday at a new board, uh, is showing interest in them, which can lead to inspiration, interest in their teams. What is your major problem, Kim, in your team? You know, what can I do to help you? So it's not about me. It's about you, and I'm here for you. That's, I think, inspirational. It's tell me, you know, you know, how can I be a better help to you, or what do you need as a human being that I can help with? And that could be time off, it could be an assistant, it could be a bigger budget, but tell me what you need as a human being. That's a person who inspires somebody else because it's a caring and it's relational and it's, I think, magic that works. I don't know what you think about that one. I'm going to stop there.
I agree. I think it's easy for leaders to fall into a template trap in this particular step and think that they're caring when they're not really caring. It just has become a normal part of their process to say, how are you? How was your day? How was your weekend? And you have to have, I don't even know if I would call it maybe the soft skill. I don't know. You have to genuinely care for people. It's not, I care for you because you work for me. It's not because I care for you because when I care for you, you'll feel inspired. And when you feel inspired, you'll do a better job and I'll have a solid team and my company will do well. You can't care because of the outcome of your caring. You just care because you have a genuine care for humans. I guess is
Yeah,
the way that I think about it.
and that's is very inspirational to people. And maybe tagged along with that, then you know, you and I have mentioned this in the past, is the ability to really listen.
Mhm.
And you and I agree on what really listening means. You want to take it from there for a minute?
Sure. I'll kick it back over to you because my brain wasn't quite to that wavelength. And then maybe I'll get more thoughts going when you start talking it through. But there's the common term of actively listening, where they teach this in executive coaching or business coaching in general, where you sit there, you let the other person say something, and then you repeat back to them what they said, and this is your practice to make sure that you're actively listening and picking up on what people are saying. I think there's also common pitfalls that people can fall into, and I'll just keep it focused on management leaders right now, since that's the point of our show, where they will follow the process of actively listening, but they'll follow it up with but, and then continue on in their thought. And when you use the word but, it totally disregards everything you just said before that to the person that you were communicating with. So I think, again, this comes back to a level of being genuine in your conversation, in addition, just like being genuine in your care. You truly want to hear what's going on in their head. You might not be able to help, you might not be able to do anything about it, but you care enough to want to know the thoughts that are going through that individual's head, not because of how it benefits you or the business, but because you truly care and you want to hear it.
I agree. And a but can get into, well, it can go two ways. You know, but can be, it really is your fault, or but can be problem solving. And sometimes people just want to be heard and not have you solve the problem. And one of the examples is when somebody's apologizing and they go, "I'm sorry, but." It's like, you know, that just voided the whole thing, right?
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, me too. I go to myself, no, you're not.
Don't mean it.
Yeah. And you can tell, I think, when somebody's active listening, because most often, and not always, most often they don't even pause before they answer you. And you can learn to reflect without actually being an active listener. You know, we both agree on that. But at least if they are reflecting, there's a chance they're becoming an active listener, as opposed to one of my favorites. Get me going down this path and it'll be a 30-minute rampage. I mean,
Could be fun. Alan on a rampage. Tune in.
yeah, exactly. You go to somebody and and I think they're trying to be empathetic, but to me, it just irritates me. You go to somebody recently, you know, your grandfather, my dad died, and you go to somebody and you express, you know, what's going on? Well, my father just passed away. He broke his hip, and then they spend the next 20 minutes talking about their father and grandfather and family members, and there's no reflection back, oh, how are you feeling, how are you doing? It just becomes immediately all
Mhm.
about their experiences. And I'm going, not only not inspirational, you're a dip, and you and you weren't hearing me at all. You were just looking for something to launch about, and it drives me nuts when people do that. So reflection is good because at least it means they're moving in the right direction, whether they're sincere or not. It's better than hearing for 20 minutes about all their experiences. Or somebody you know has cancer that they tell you about their cancer and everything they went through, and as opposed to providing insights and help. It's just, I get rather annoyed with self-centered listening, I guess is what I call it. And I don't even, mom tells me they don't know they're doing it. I say, well, that doesn't matter. They're still annoying.
Yeah. Well, it's true. A lot don't, and it's very easy to put somebody down without intending to put somebody down. You're trying to be helpful. You can say, "How can I help you?" And then they tell you how they can help you. And it's like, well, this is going to be a little tough for you to hear. And so it's even like your tonality, the word choice that you use. It's very easy not to be a good listener or a good communicator. It does take work and effort to learn the skill of true listening that translates into someone being inspired by your listening capabilities as a leader.
Yes.
Um,
So corporately, you don't need that. If you're a corporate leader and you're inspiring a whole team or 80 people or 8,000 people, you don't necessarily need to be a good leader, right? Unless word gets out that you don't listen. But if you're if you're a leader at the corporate level and you're trying to get your VP up to speed, or you're trying to build a corporate team, you better be an active listener. If you're in sales, you got to be an active listener, right? I imagine your sales team were good at that. They were focused on that. Um, when you're on a call, I know you're an active listener because that's who you are and what you practice. Nobody is inspired by somebody who's not an active listener, in my opinion. Maybe that's too broad a statement, but I think it's that important that people become active listeners.
I agree. For a whole host of different reasons that we could dissect at a different time. But one of the things that just popped into my head focused strictly on some of the rules of engagement of active listening that lead to being an inspirational leader. I find what your follow up to that
Mm.
conversation is evidence of your level of active listening. So when I have a conversation with someone, say they were to tell me that their father passed away, I mean, I think about every conversation that I've had with people well after that conversation has ended. And if I think of something else that could have been a benefit, something that I wish I had said, but it didn't come to my mind at that moment, I'll follow up with the person with that additional thought, which immediately shows that person, wow, she's still thinking about that conversation that we had on Monday. She really cared about that. Even if I can't change anything, it's just if something else pops into my head, I'm going to follow up on it. I think that is a testament to you are actively engaged and caring about that individual and listening to them.
Which, if you're a leader, is inspiring.
Mm.
It without a doubt, it is inspiring. And I'm going to add another thing that I think inspirational leaders do, and that is they develop talent. And you can have a company that develops talent, but it's just kind of a cold mechanism. You know, it's a process. It's just steps that you take. Or you can have a corporate leader or a department leader who's actively engaged in your development. And there's some loving accountability, there's some friendly accountability, there's something that you're just not, well, here's the book, read it and come back to me. That's not inspirational. You know, it's being there while somebody's walking that journey. And that particularly hit home yesterday. I mentioned a new board, State Workforce Innovation Board, and they were talking, they had some success stories there. And each one of them talked about the accountability of the person sitting behind them. They brought their mentors with them.
Mm.
And they said, and I was talking with leadership afterward, and they go, the accountability is key. Otherwise, you're just wasting time and money. And if you're not there showing that you care, walking with them, uh, they're not going to make it. And the recipients on the other side say, I wouldn't be able to be here if it wasn't for Karen, because of Karen's caring and, you know, inspiration. And
Hmm.
it's that accountability and maybe involvement's a better word than accountability. It's that walking with people that makes a difference. That's an inspiring leader.
I like the word involvement better than accountability. And I was
Yeah.
also, it made me think of Um, every person's different. And so when you try to push a template training program and say, we invest in our talent and we have all these training programs, it's not going to have the same impact or inspirational outcome as if you tailor the training to the individual and the way that they learn, the way that they absorb information, where their shortcomings are. Just because employee A needed training on communication doesn't mean that that same communication training is where employee B is. Maybe a different type of communication training is where that person. So a manager who knows their employees to the level of that detail and then works with leadership to have materials and then supports and is involved along the way during that training program is much more inspirational in my mind than rather it's corporate has this standard template training program that every employee must take. Great, everybody check that box, move on to the next training program.
Right. Absolutely. And senior leadership in the company can do the same thing to their direct reports, and it can flow all the way down through the company to whatever, into the bowels of the ship and into engineering and those that are shoveling the coal into the furnace, wherever it happens to be. But it, I think it's key. If you're not involved in developing talent, um, there's got to be a reason for people to think you just don't care that much, do you?
Yeah, I'm
In
just
which
a
case,
number.
yeah, in which case you're not inspirational. Um, and inspirational to me also means I'm going to move on to another point and see what you
Yep.
think about this. Inspirational is when people actively see that, and we're going to talk more about this when we talk about companies that are built to last, but it is an inspirational point, and then I'm just going to let it go. When people see that, yes, profits are important, process and product are important, uh, but Alan would choose, what's going to be good for people, not just inside the company, the clients, all the stakeholders. This is how we're going to be a value and encouragement to our people, our team, but we're producing a product which is going to make life better. That's what I mean by the passionate for people comes before profits. Because if everything's about profit, then it's an entirely different vibe than this is about making the world a better place. And at ITR, that used to drive us. It may still drive them, but you and I aren't there anymore. Uh, that was our mantra, right? We just wanted to change the world. And we had in our mission, our objectives, different ways to change the world and different philanthropic things we were doing. And profit was important, but our mission statement didn't begin with profit. It began with how are we going to make the world a better place today? And I think when you live and breathe that, that is inspirational. And certainly all businesses can practice that if they want to. I don't care if you're a car dealership or a chemical distributor or you sell pipe. There's a way that you're making the world a better place and a way that you can be helping people. One company I ran across actually makes it a point that and they're able to do this, not all companies are, they make it a point that they give away more money to charity than the family, because a family-owned business makes as a family. And that just inspires the daylights out of everybody working there because they know every day they go in, the result of their effort means people are going to eat, people are going to have a home, people are, that don't have much chance in life are going to get a chance because I'm here doing my job working for these people. They are so inspirational.
That's awesome. I was also thinking when you were talking about the passion at ITR, I used to earlier on in my career, when I first felt that sensation of the passion ITR had for helping the world of business, I feel like that was unique to ITR. And now having gone through my career and where I'm at today, it's very clear, it's very evident to me. Every one of my clients has that passion for what they do. They clearly see how it is benefiting the world around them, and it is truly inspirational to their team members. And my business structure, I'm working with the business owners and then doers, if you will, quote unquote, to execute on the varying steps of the strategy. And every single one of the people that I'm working one on one with and helping them execute the strategy is just as inspired about what they do and their purpose for that business in the world. And that's coming from the business owner that I'm first talking to. And it's just so neat to see that you're 110% correct. That passion for the difference and impact that you're having in the world just transcends through the business environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Now back on you as the marketing expert, you can have that, but I think it can start to go lose some of its shine. I'll put it that way. If you don't have stories,
Yes.
I think you have to have stories and not the same story, that you're told for 5 years about this family that you helped or this business that was saved in the case of ITR or, whatever it happened to be, that you got to be continuously, and you and I believe this, you cannot over communicate. You got to be continuously communicating the story and the application of the passion, and so that people have a reason to believe every day.
Agreed. And even more because people might hear story and they might think case study, and case studies are great, testimonials are great, but also having the the impact, like the proof of what that is. So you and I have talked about like the quantifiable ROI program and stuff like that, where you can very clearly see I am passionate about this because on average it saves my clients $50 million a year or something like that. Like why, like just because you're passionate about something, great. But why does that resonate or mean anything to the marketplace? So you have to look
Right.
at it from their point of view. Wait, you can save me $50 million in a year, most likely. I'd be passionate about that too. Let's have a quick call to discuss that. So it's always looking through the other lens. So whether that's the employee team member looking through their eyes and why they should feel passionate about the same thing, or looking from your target audience and from their eyes why they should be passionate about that too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, uh, to me, inspirational leadership, we started with what you don't do. That's really important because that's human nature. And then these things that we talked about are all things anybody can do if they're listening to the right music, to borrow from the last episode. If they're if they purpose, if they make up their mind. Anybody that wants to be can be inspirational in a good way. Some people can lead you down a path, but you know what I mean. To be a real positive inspiration doesn't mean anything more than caring and applying the things we talked about today.
Agreed. And I think it goes back to one of the key words that we keep using. And I think it's even on the landing page for the podcast. It's intentional.
Hmm.
You're intentionally working towards becoming and being an inspirational leader. And it's something that you work towards. And it put, like we said, with the coaches and Chloe and Emily, they were willing to put in the work to bring that inspiration to the crowd. You have to be willing to put in the work.
Uh, Good point and good way to bring it around. And at the end, it brings tears to people's eyes. It makes life better. It makes the world a better place. And all it took was a vision, work, and application. All right.
All.
Which
Well,
means
this was a fun topic for us to go over. I don't know. Do you have more points that you want to
nope.
go over in this? Okay.
I am pointless.
I have no more points. All circles.
That's right.
So our next episode is building a business that lasts. So really looking forward to going through that with you and unpacking some of the best practices for building a lasting business. So, but have very much enjoyed this topic. Love thinking about the inspiration, just the sensation that that brings to those around you. It's like bringing a sunshine with you wherever you go and just making somebody's day brighter. And that immediately has a positive impact on their day and then moves on to somebody else's day and then somebody else's day and just has this amazing trickle effect to help make the world that much brighter.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly.
All right. Well, it was nice chatting through it with you, and I will see you next week.
You bet. Take care.
All right. Bye.